Well, yeah, another two-parter being put in one because that's part two. All of part two. Need I say more? Obviously, with part one, I've got a decent chunk of stuff that I can talk about. But with part two, I had next to nothing. No, seriously, I had one note for the sub of for part two, and it's a complaint, and to the sub's detriment. So, yeah. In case you thought I was gonna be pulling my punches. Now, in the interest of fairness, though, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but right there, that's a preference in favor of the sub. So the sub added yet another added yet another point to my preference score. So let's begin. So, Panic, aka the player killer. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it straight up. The winner for this duel, and which version I prefer, the manga. I'm sorry. I have brought up the manga a few times, but God, yeah. It still astounds me that I have more to talk about either universally or that. So, Eliminators, and this one is willing to kill people with fire. Again, like I said, he's either evil or he's just a douchebag. Pegasus, I mean. Pick your poison. Just seriously pick your poison. Because that's how this goes. Which is funny because I also have complaints about the dub, which is actually what made part one be preferred in the sub. Specifically, the whole thing that the game has been there for years, and apparently Panic's made enough money to have retired years ago. Yeah, I roll to disbelieve, especially if we're going by the manga's timeline. The card game has existed for 7 years. Although I will say that I still roll to disbelieve, considering how much the actual real world card game changed in 7 years, but I digress. So, Panic the Eliminator. So we start off, and instead of, doing untoward things to Mai, as was suggested, no, it was here so that he could just duel Mai and get her booted off the island. See, okay, here's the other problem I have with the whole Pegasus is an evil thing. If he's not a puppy strangling douchebag, why even have eliminators at all? Because at best you can argue the idea that they wanted to shrink it down to an idea of 4 finalists. And I could buy that. So, solution: only distribute enough star chips so that 4 people specifically can get into the castle. So basically a total of 40 star chips, which would make sense. And, that the idea feels like it was 80 star chips total, because, the whole 40 participants thing, each one was given 2 star chips. That actually would stand to make sense. The only real wrench would be Joey, and Pegasus let that go, so okay. But otherwise, the eliminators make no sense. And I'm just gonna say it, their gloves are oversized and crap. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I've never liked the dueling gloves, admittedly. I mean, I've never hated them, but I've just never been like, oh, dueling gloves. I wish they brought it back. No. The only arm accessory I want duelists to wear in this series are dual discs. We'll get into that next time, but for now, yeah. Let's see. So there, I've dealt with my eliminators note. I've done my roll to disbelieve note. The flamethrowers. Yep. Now, both language. Oh yeah, there's my note about him calling him the player killer. Oh, by the way, Yugi apparently knew the idea of eliminators. Remembers the idea of eliminators from the clown because they actually mentioned that the death impersonator. Ugh, I still fucking hate that concept. But anyways, the clown was a eliminator hired by Pegasus. I like the idea that we start dealing with the eliminators here because it kind of makes sense that we start dealing with higher tier threats here, right? Because we have this guy, we have an eliminator, we have Joey dealing with somebody who's going to be trained by an intercontinental champ. I don't remember his title in the Japanese version, forgive me. And then we will be dealing with 2 more eliminators, which is funny because that means there's only 4 eliminators total. What? That's, Anywho. Oh, and 2 of them wait in a frickin' labyrinth, by the way. That it's debatable if anybody's ever even going to get in there. Okay, then. Ugh. Oh, by the way, Panic never used the flamethrowers on Mai in the sub. Just, yeah. Thought I would actually mention that. So, let's get into the duel proper, shall we? Because I really don't have anything to say about Panic. They take the bully angle with him in both languages. We gotta stand up to him, blah, 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 blah. So the first thing that comes to mind is the field power bonus. The idea of playing cards at night being a field power bonus, which apparently negates all other field power bonuses. Specifically, they mention that. Well, they offhandedly allude to it in the dub. They flat out say it in the sub. Yeah, that's a bullcrap rule. I'm not gonna lie. I wonder if Weevil was told about that rule when he was, in his cheating. Quote unquote cheating. I need to keep correcting myself on that. Yeah, it's kind of dumb. That's also why almost all of his Panic's cards. I'm going to keep calling him Panic, by the way. I don't care. He doesn't even have a freaking name in the sub. He's just the player killer. Not the last time we're going to be seeing that, by the way. In the dub, where one version will name a character and the other one won't. Garimo, for those who know who he is. Yeah. For those that have never watched the Japanese version, I'll just say Mike Pollock to avoid any any connotations of spoilers. As I tried to do with these videos. There's my note about not being able to win with defense alone that Yugi mentions in the sub. Yeah, that's a point for part 2. Also, I know this is the shining definition of pulling a technically on Yugi here. But he does technically lie about when he places Swords of Revealing Light on the field in in the dub, he flat out says, and I will place Curse of Dragon in defense mode, and of course, the card that will make you see the light. And then he sets a card. And then the card that he actually set was Spellbinding Circle. Yugi, that's actually fucking lying. Like, and he doesn't lie in the sub. His line when he lays down Spellbinding Circle in the sub is literally I set a card. That's it. Just proper etiquette. I'm setting a face down. And then Panic, or that is to say Player Killer, makes the assumption that that's swords. And then summons the Reaper, which is a flip effect monster that destroys spells and traps in the real card game. In the anime, it's a card that can attack your spells and traps. I mean, which is funny because you could actually make an effect on a monster, have that be an effect on a monster, and have it make sense. You're probably thinking, well, how would you do that, Blue Wolf? Effect. Once per turn, you can select one spell or trap card on your opponent's side of the field. Destroy it. This card you cannot declare an attack the turn you activate this effect. Boom. Translation: it's attacking the spell or trap as opposed to the thing. Now that wouldn't be a good effect, and in the real card game having a level 5 monster. Actually, I forget if it's a level 5 monster. Forgive me. Yeah, he's a level 5 monster. Yeah, having a level 5 monster with a flip effect is kind of ridiculous. There are good flip effect monsters that are, tribute fodder, but I can only name 2. There's that weird 2-sack jar monster, Pot of the Forbidden or something like that. I can't remember. And Nobleman Eater Bug. And even then, that's like the 2-sack one is, there's ways to get him on the field face down, and he's got good effects when you flip him face up. So there's that. And then Nobleman Eater Bug is just a stronger Man Eater Bug. So there's that. Yeah. But yeah, no. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is, Future Alex can put up a thing with him. The point is that, yeah, Reaper of the Cards was, it's ridiculous. Now, in part 2, King of Yamamikai's attack hits it, which makes no goddamn sense. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. Now, in the manga, it kind of made more sense because the idea was Yugi had Spellbinding Circle behind Curse of Dragon, and so to attack Curse of Dragon, the Reaper kind of got in the way. I mean, it's still dumb and still like, and still eyebrow raising, but at least there's an actual explanation in the manga. Ugh. But of course, I am getting ahead of myself, because I'm already talking about part 2, so I might as well flip over to page 2, which is episode 2, obviously. So there's my note about it making no sense. Nice and elaborate Swords of a Revealing Light animation. I guess they just really wanted to show off swords, which is funny because we've seen swords as early as episode 1. Yeah. Anywho. And if you want to pull it technically on me, yeah, we've seen it as early as season 0, so. Anyways. So then he tries to bolster his defense with Chaos Shield, which is basically just Yellow Luster Shield, which, I gotta be honest with you, Yellow Luster Shield is a crap card. Chaos Shield is actually a decent card. It's kind of funny. And you can apparently combo it with the Castle of Dark Illusions. BS defense tactics are BS. So Yugi's been playing psychological warfare the entire time. Because what he's been doing is he's been riling Panic up the entire time. You know, I am Panic, I am the Eliminator, and blah 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 blah. I'm just gonna say it. Good lord, the excessive amount of dialogue in the dub drags the dub down. It's actually why part one is I gave the preference point to the sub. The reason I'm more okay with it in the dub is because of specific moments in the dub and specific lines in the dub, right? Like, for example, Joey's speech at the end is more, or in the sub, is about, don't have your defenses up all the time, right? In the dub, that's his point. Don't have your defenses up all the time. In the sub, it's don't throw away your dreams, which both are good. I just think the defense, don't keep your defenses up all the time point is a little more poignant. Even if the don't throw away your dreams thing fits with what was going on there. Or a bit more, you know? But otherwise, yeah. Also, I will admit, having Dan Green basically he verbally berating Panic is just more satisfying than Subatem. I hate to say that, but to me it's true. Maybe that's nostalgia. Maybe it's not. I don't know. You make the call on that. I'm willing to say that it's nostalgia. I am. I'm just. So then, Catapult Turtle is used after Gaia the Dragon Champion shows up. His second appearance only. His second appearance of, I want to say 3 total for Gaia the Dragon Champion. I have to think about that for a second. Yeah, 3 total. Because I don't think Yugi ever uses Gaia the Dragon Champion ever past Season 1. I could be wrong about that. I guess I'll have to pay attention as we go through. Regardless, though, yeah. So Catapult Turtle launches Gaia the Dragon Champion. Now, this leads to, if you know this series, you probably know this one because it is one of the more famous shenanigans. Because the idea is Cast Shield is keeping the monsters encased. Yugi's attack knocks Castle of Dark Illusion's flotation ring off. The castle comes down, crushes the monsters, and that drains Panic's life points to 0. Now, I paid attention to how many life points Panic had left. When he destroyed the Reaper of the Cards, he went down to 494, which is eyebrow-raising to me, but okay, whatever. The point is that he took more than specifically 700 points of damage in the entire duel. Now, why is that relevant, you might ask? Well, Catapult Turtle's effect, which I should have brought up because, but I didn't because I am a frickin' dum-dum. Okay. Because Catapult Turtle's effect actually makes this make sense. Okay? Catapult Turtle. His effect reads, and I quote, once per turn, you can tribute 1 monster. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the tributed monster's attack on the field. Which in this case would be 1600, but let's just say for the sake of argument, because Catapult Turtle isn't supposed to raise the attack strength of the monster it launches, we'll just say 1300 for the sake of argument, because duh, right? In the anime, the owner of the monster, eats the damage, and that's why Yugi lost a crap ton of points, which is also why he never loses points like that again. In the later anime, it is its normal effect again. which according to the wiki here, it actually appeared several times in the anime. Specifically several times in DM, and a couple of times in GX, and then a couple of times in Arc 5 of all things. That'll be interesting to see. But the point remains is that the real life Catapult Turtle actually makes this make a lot of sense. Right? And I like that. I do. Because it makes it so that Panic did lose the duel before, and everything else, all the shenanigans, that's just the anime kind of showing you. Like, okay, imagine for a minute, like, okay, let me put it to you this way. The only player interaction that happened was Yugi committed an action, and that triggered a cutscene, to use it in such terms. Because keep in mind, Season 1 is basically D&D. That's basically what Season 1 is. It's not the card game. It's D&D. It's just D&D with the cards basically being, like, the miniatures, basically. You know? And with that, Panic is defeated. He tries to burn Yugi alive. Yugi's Millennium Puzzle saves him from his assault, which is something that nobody gets in the sub, apparently. Really? Okay. We went over this last time. Joey gets Maya out of her shell. After Yugi mind crushes. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the silliness of them pointing out, oh, Yugi can't get out of the way, and then Bakura literally saying, and I quote, I even wrote it down, because, some dub dialogue is just, oh my god. Bakura yells at Yugi, jump out of the way, and it's like, we established he can't. Good thing for the Millennium Puzzle. But, whatever. Also, would frying Yugi to a crisp wouldn't frying Yugi to a crisp fuck over Pegasus's plans? I'm just curious. I don't know. All I know is I'm done with this episode. Oh my god, I feel like I haven't even been talking for very long. I feel like I blazed through this at 1 billion miles an hour. There's nothing for me to say about these 2 episodes, really. I mean, they're good for what they are, and they've got some fun moments. I got nothing. I have absolutely nothing. All I can say is, I'll see you guys next time. Which is funny because if we actually look at this, one last thing before I go. If we actually look at this string of episodes recently, of ones that I have done in 1 or 2 episodes, we had Heart of the Cards, which was 1, because, standalone episode. The Gauntlet is Thrown, which was 1, because duh. Journey to Duelist Kingdom was 1, again, duh. And then we had the Weevil 2-parter, which was our first 2-parter. Then we have First Duel, which was on its own. Everything's Relative, which was on its own. My phone went off, because of course it did. It doesn't matter, I'm almost done. And then we had the Ghost Kaiba Duel. So we've only had 3... Wait. Weevil, 2, 3... This is the 4th 2-parter that I've done in 1. Why do I bring this up? Oh, very simple. This is a trend that's going to continue. There's going to be a lot of multi-parters I'm going to condense into 1 because, well, let me put it to you this way. If you think I'm going to talk about a duel with darts in 5 videos instead of 1, you're nuts. 1 sec. Anyways, I'm going to cut this off. Roommate's trying to get my attention. I will see you guys next time. Blue Wolf Alex the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one. Duel standby.